There are 4 chords in I Shot the Sheriff: G minor, C minor, D sharp and D minor. And to play these chords we need to be able to play bar chords. And to play G minor there are 2 ways we can play it. We can play it by putting our first finger on all of the strings on the 3rd fret and pressing down really hard, and then taking our 3rd finger and putting it on the 5th fret of the A string, and our 4th finger goes underneath it on the 5th fret of the D string, and that's G minor. Now to play this chord you have to press really hard on the strings. So what I like to do is I like to play it like this, and what's really important is that we get these 5 strings here. So I'll take my first finger and put it on the 3rd fret of the G string, the B string and the E string, and then my 4th finger goes on the 5th fret of the D string, and my 3rd finger above it on the 5th fret of the A string. And if you can stretch your thumb over onto the 3rd fret of the bottom E string, and that's G minor. So that's 2 ways you can play G minor. And the next chord in the song is C minor. Again, this is a different bar chord shape now. We take our first finger and we put it on. What's really important is that we bar these 5 strings here, starting on the A string and going down. And we take our second finger, put it on the 4th fret of the B string. Our 4th finger goes on the 5th fret of the G string, and our 3rd finger above it on the 5th fret of the D string. And that's the chord of C minor. And again, if you press really hard to get all, because you want to be able to hear all the notes nice and clearly, and you can take that shape and you can slide it all over to play other chords as well. So for example, that's C minor, that's D minor, and that's E minor. It's G minor, C minor, and we go to D sharp. Now we can play this either like this, which you take your first finger and you bar all these 5 strings here on the 6th fret, and then your 3rd finger goes on the 8th fret of the D string, the G string and the B string. Or you can play it like this, which is the proper way to play it with the bar chord. So you take your first finger and you put it on the 6th fret and you press down really hard on those 5 strings there, and then you take your second finger and you put it on the 8th fret of the D string, your 3rd finger goes on the 8th fret of the G string, and your 4th finger goes on the 8th fret of the B string, and you press really hard so you can get all those notes really clear. And if you're struggling to play that, you can play it like this, but you're just playing 4 strings here. And what I'm doing there is I'm taking my second finger, putting it on the 8th fret of the D string, my 3rd finger below it on the G string on the 8th fret, and my 4th finger on the 8th fret of the B string, and then my 1st finger goes on the 6th fret of the top E string, and that's another way to play D sharp. But I like to play it like that. It's entirely up to you what you prefer. And then we go down to D minor. Now the D minor shape is the same as the C minor shape here, which I just showed you earlier. So to play D minor, you take your first finger and you put it on the 5th fret of these 5 strings here, and you press really hard, and then you take your second finger, put it on the 6th fret of the B string, your 3rd finger on the 7th fret of the D string, and then your 4th finger on the 7th fret of the G string underneath that. So that's D minor, and that's the 4 chords that we need to play I Shot the Sheriff. So we've got G minor, C minor, D minor and D sharp. Thanks for watching, goodbye.